everyone. Today I want to talk about those things that we experienced growing up in the Jehovah's Witness faith that caused emotional scars, trauma. So many things happen to so many of us. And what I've been doing the past, I would say, 10 years of my life. First, I talk about therapy quite a bit here, and I believe in mental health therapy, talk therapy. Um, they have different strategies to help you reduce the impact of trauma and how it affects your adult life. And what I have started thinking about is looking at those events that happened and looking at the traumatic experiences that it developed inside of me because of those experiences. And I really had to think about, okay, so I have these scars, and I'm not monopolizing the traumatic scars that happen just within Jehovah's Witness religion. There's enough trauma to go around for the whole world. But I can only speak from my experience of being a Jehovah's Witness. But I know that there are ample opportunities for many different types of traumatic experiences that people have from various from various experiences that happen over the course of life. And my story, looking at what happened and looking at different things that I overcame and lived through, yes, they cause scarring because it causes injury, mental injuries and other injuries as well, that the body will form a scar so that you can heal. And what I have been doing is looking at those scars as one signs of victory because I was able to come through that and look at those scars as superpowers. Those experiences created the person that I am today. When I think about the rejection that we had to get used to as children, rejection from our communities, rejection from our families, those of you who went through being disfellowshipped and were shunned by your family and your friends and the people that you held near and dear to your heart. Those, I remember my sister was no longer a member of the Jehovah's Witness religion and how she was shunned by my family, including me. And, thinking about the type of disconnect, that rift that happened between her and myself because of that. And never having the time to repair that relationship fully. My sister passed away before when we were talking, but we really didn't come together like we were when we were younger. So grieving over that, think about what could have been. My sister died when I was, let's see, she died in 2000, so let's see, I was 20, I was in my late 20s when she passed. But just, just looking at all the different traumatic experiences that we endured. And so when I look at all that I've overcome and the things that I've had to walk through in life, there are some pretty amazing abilities that I have developed because of those experiences that I lived through. And one of the experiences, one of the superpowers, things I think of superpower is courage. I have an extreme amount of courage. I will do something even though I might be afraid of it. I will still walk forward in spite of the fear that I'm experiencing as I'm going to do whatever that thing is. With that courage comes a certain amount of bravery. To be brave, to do something, to do things that somebody else wouldn't want to do, or because maybe they're, have lack of confidence or whatever that thing is that keeps them from doing it. And And because of those experiences that I had, I will keep walking, even though it might be something that may be um, very frightening to do, because I'm unsure. I don't know how it's going to go. There's a bit of risk that's involved, and still I will push forward in that. Something else that I've learned about myself is the level of kindness that I have. I've seen so much spitefulness and pettiness and just a complete void of love, to where people are dismissed for the most simplest things, where you are, I've seen where people are made to live up to these unrealistic standards of life, because they're not living up to someone else's expectation of where they think they should be or where they think they should be, where love is very conditional. Whereas if I will love you if you do, one, two, three, four, and five things, or even more, and just really understanding about what love is. Love is not just a few scriptures in the Bible, but love is an action. Love is many things. Um, it's authentic. It's it's unconditional. It's not conditional. It's unconditional. So I have learned kindness because of seeing when things aren't kind, and also from experiencing so many different levels of unkindness, that I have developed this really innate sensitivity to being kind. Sometimes I have to keep it in balance, because I find if you're over kind, you lose your perception of boundaries. So I've had to keep that balance as well. And also another thing too, when you're in a big demand religion, a big demand experience, you do lose your sense of self, and you lose your understanding that you have rights to boundaries, or that you have the ability to, you can, it's okay to set boundaries. Well, that's taken away from you. And so I have had to just look at things a little different. Look at things from perspective of, yes, I'm kind, but I'm also kind to myself as well. I'm kind to myself as well, which means not allowing myself to be overutilized or pushed to such extremes that I'm putting my own mental health, my own physical well-being at risk. Now, I did that for many years. Don't get me wrong. I have spent many years of allowing people to come into my life and completely make all kind of withdrawals and not putting anything back in, and that would just leave me empty and burnt out, and just having no energy for my own development, for my own cares. So definitely that is something you have to look at as well. Like, what are your boundaries? Do you have boundaries? And if you don't, finding ways to make boundaries for yourself. That's helpful for you, as well as healthy for your relationships as well. Another superpower is resilience. Oh my gosh, are we not the most resilient people? Just think about the things that you have persevered through. Um, when you were younger, think of the things that you've had to deal with, especially if a lot of witness families, have dysfunction in the home. Um, if your parents drank, and, my parents did, so dealing with that. Um, just all the things that you witnessed, that you observed, that you experienced, and then have to go and pretend like everything is perfect. We're in this perfect community because we're witnesses, and life is beautiful, and we're so happy, and, all of that inauthentic living that was going on, and you had to toe the line to keep the lie afloat. So, being able to learn how to function in that, and how to still get up and keep going, even with all that chaos that was around you. I know in my home there was lots of chaos, a lot of chaos, and still be able to go to school and to work, do my work, and to, and still, get through life, and, and still function, just function, when you have that kind of instability. You know that that definitely creates a strong, resilient bond, where there my ability to be in a stressful situation and to still carry on and to still walk through that, that definitely has the roots from my upbringing and from my experiences of growing up in a family who was, in the Jehovah's Witness religion and the Jehovah's Witness culture, and everyone's family had, has some issues going on. And again, I'm not saying that it's not just Jehovah's Witnesses. There's dysfunction everywhere. I'm coming from the perspective of my experience, and also based on the particular characteristics of the Jehovah's Witness community, and how that, when it's coupled with dysfunction, it really gets interesting, right? When you have both those things together, compounding each other. So when I think of my scars, I'm not ashamed of them anymore. They are a part of me, and I don't think of them as my nemesis, but they are my strengths because of who I became afterwards, and how it propelled me to want to be better, to do better, to be kinder to others, to love myself, to be kind to me first and foremost, to recognize my courage, to recognize that I'm a brave person, to look at the type of resiliency that I have developed over time. So when I look at my memories of growing up as a Jehovah's Witness child, and yes, there are plenty of things to cry over and to be mad about, and angry and disappointed and frustrated, and all the different emotions, that are going to rise up. But in the midst of that, to think what I was to overcome, and to look back and say, wow, I survived. I survived. Because so many of us did not. So many of the children who were raised in that environment and went through some horrendous things, where life just really beat them up. And to see that I was able to survive, I was able to find a way through it, to still keep my belief in God, to have a relationship with Him stronger than I ever have had. As it developed, as He's walked with me through my whole life, to be able to still rise up from that, and to just look at the things and the gifts that I have. My kindness, I'm resilient, my courage, my bravery. And I'm grateful for that. Do I wish that I didn't have that experience? That's not something I wanted to go through, but I did. And it was part of my life because of my parents' choices and, the community that I was in. But to look at my experience with a slightly different view, and look at the scars that I have because of that experience, but seeing those scars as strength and not as weaknesses, and to see the superpowers that I have now in my possession because of my experience and how I came through that. So I know that everyone has a different journey and a different path and a different experience. But if you could share some of the things that you now consider to be a strength that was meant for your destruction. Let's build each other up, and just take a moment to just be thankful that we made it. We made it. We're here. We're here together. We're helping each other. I didn't think I would be brave enough to start a YouTube channel and talk about those experiences that I had, but here I am. Here I am with you. So let's hold each other up. Let's support each other. Let's share. Until the next video, that's it for today. Take care of yourself, and I'll see you at the next video. Bye.